Hey everybody, it's Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and I wanted to try a new monthly series. This is kind of like my Mrs. Eisenhower quote, be the change you want to see in the world. And one thing I feel like I haven't seen on comic book YouTube a lot is, what does your monthly reading look like? So I see a lot of, I read this book, isn't this great? I read this series, isn't this awesome? And I love those videos, but I wanted to do like a demonstration of the real nitty gritty of what reading in a month looks like for an avid comic book reader, an avid reader in general. So this is just everything collated in one spot, this big old pile. It breaks down to 65 individual comics, 2 trade paperbacks that I borrowed from somebody, and 3 novels. I'm actually a little upset with myself. I'm on a book a week kind of schedule, and just it's not that way here. This month, I don't know if I was reading more comics or if life just got to get away from me, but this is what I ended with. I'll be giving a mini, tiny, itty bitty baby review of each book that I finished, including the comics, but I'm not going to be going into a deep dive. The only thing I will be talking about with a little bit more detail is I love DC. If you've watched this channel, I'm a DC reader. I have a lot of independent books as well, but DC is really my jam, my bread and butter. And I had kind of an awakening recently as to why I'm not crazy about Wonder Woman. I learned I'm not really a fan of Wonder Woman, and a mini series that she did, it was Black and Gold. I read 4 of the 5 issues, and I really didn't dig it, and we'll go into that. That's the only one that I'm really going to do a deep dive into. Everything else is going to be relatively short. I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes. Can I do it? Who knows? Ricky editing on the couch here. No, you can't. You can't. Number 1. It's not number 1. There's a lot in here. I was reading the Before Watchmen series. This includes 2 issues of Moloch, 4 issues of Rorschach, 4 issues of Dr. Manhattan, interior art by Adam Hughes. You don't see that too often. 6 issues of Ozymandias, a one-shot of Dollar Bill, 6 issues of The Comedian. Sometimes I think because we respect Alan Moore so much, we take what he has to say unsalted. Like he's a genius. He's done so much for comic books that we should really take what he says at face value. And I think he might be too close to the Watchmen brand. I mean, he wrote it, but he's too close to the brand and to how DC has treated him to really fairly evaluate some of the new stuff that they're doing. His appearance on The Simpsons kind of says it all.
Mr. Moore, will you sign my DVD of Watchmen Babies? Which of the babies is your favorite?
You see what those bloody corporations do? They take your ideas and they suck them. Suck them like leeches until they've gotten every last drop of the marrow from your bones.
Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
But these books are handled with such care and reverence for the original series that they come off at the least as respectful. And they brought their A-team on this. Moloch, J. Michael Straczynski. Rorschach is Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. If you like his art, it's interior art by Bermejo. Come on, how often do we get that? J. Michael Straczynski also wrote Dr. Manhattan, which was... There's some powerful scenes in this. You know, Schrodinger's cat, like in the box, is it alive or dead? Because that is a quantum mechanics kind of discussion, and he's all quantum mechanics, the character Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan as a child is in a box while his family is trying to escape the Nazis, like a box in a cart. He's hiding in this like little chest that his dad's sitting on. And so when the Nazis light up the cart, there's this moment that the dad's like, you know, is he alive? Is he dead? I won't know until I open the box, which is paralleling Manhattan telling the story of his past and how it intersects with his explanation of Schrodinger's cat. And it's Straczynski like really took the brakes off for this one. He did a great job. Len Wein on Ozymandias. That is, man, if you don't read any of the Before Watchmen, read the Ozymandias as this is hard. If you've never read Watchmen before, go read Watchmen because you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. I'm a monster. But if you have read Watchmen, these are amazing companion pieces. They actually enhance the original work. It's like if someone said we were going to be doing I don't know, Amazon Prime version of a franchise that you love, imagine how good it would be if they treated it with respect and with good writing. Then you have an idea of what we're talking about here with these books. I will die on this hill. These are really good. Side note, I'm thrilled to be getting this video done. I always tell people half of the fun of buying comics is being able to organize them when I get home. I have a meticulous organization system that I use, and I can find any book that you ask. If you ask me like, hey, where's issue 6 of the 80s Suicide Squad run? I can find it in 5 seconds. I just got to move some boxes around. But having all of these in a pile while I was waiting to make this video over the course of a month, I was like sweating. Like, can I get this video out so I can please just put them where they need to go? Starting 2 months ago, I started reading the Tom King Batman run. And I'm gonna be real with you. Aside from YouTube, I'm not on social media. I don't use Facebook. I don't use Twitter. No, X, whatever. I don't use any of that stuff. All I do is YouTube because I'm too immature to be on those other sites. I let strangers yell politics at me and I get upset and I can't help but think about it. My brain spins out. I have that type of fixated mind that way. So I can't be on those websites, especially when it's like family doing it to you. It's the worst. Don't cancel me. I'm saying this because I really have no idea. I don't understand why people hate Tom King so much. I don't know if he said something on social media. I don't know if he was rude to some other creator at a panel. I really don't know. All I have is a textual analysis of what Tom King has done with Batman in his Batman DC Rebirth run, and all the way through the death of Alfred, spoiler alert, and his City of Bane stuff. It's, man, like I said, I don't know what he did, but people have this kind of negative perception of what he's done or said, and people aren't really crazy about Tom King as much as I feel like he deserves. He's a brilliant writer. He balances the line between really short narratives like 2 characters on a roof and, you know, having a good time, having a quick conversation, comedy, and like long form pontification, like Bruce Wayne just talking for like 10 minutes. He has such a great palette for all of these different things, and he can mix and match them after a while so that you're not getting a completely silent issue. He's great. And then we all kind of talk about how Mr. Miracle is like this like seminal, amazing 12-issue run that he did. I don't know. I don't know why people don't like him as much as they do, but hot take, Tom King's run on Batman is better than the Court of Owls. City of Bane is better than Court of Owls. I have problems with Court of Owls. I don't know. Like I've talked about it before. If you didn't know, I have literally like 95% of every single issue in the New 52 because I'm a psychopath and I bought all the individual ones, and then I went on comic book reading order and I put them all in order in boxes because I'm crazy. And I've read all of it, and it's so good because it's that pocket universe of we're just rebooting, so you don't need extra context from previous stories. You're just reading this one shot straight through. Batman and Court of Owls and Green Lantern and its War of Light did not do that. When they rebooted the DC universe with the New 52, Batman was selling so well and Green Lantern was selling so well that they were kind of immune to the reboot. They didn't really start over like they should have. And so day one of the reboot of Batman, and Damian's there, Dick is there as Nightwing, Tim is there as Red Robin, Red Hood's there. They didn't really stick the landing on restarting the universe. And so when they started adding things like, oh, there's a secret society in Gotham that Batman never knew about. What? One, okay, Batman didn't know. Great. Riddler didn't know. Two-Face didn't know. Joker didn't know. And this is kind of my problem with conspiracy theories in general. Like, someone gets jilted. Someone gets their feelings hurt in the conspiracy, and they step out and tell on everybody. I don't buy that, like, Batman's been Batman running around this city messing up stuff for their plans for decades now, and people are like, yeah, no, it's cool, Batman can go be Batman, we're controlling something else. Like, what? Like, clearly not crime, because the criminals don't know you exist. Clearly not, like, the banking system, because Batman's messed with those people, and the League of Assassins messed with that like a million times. I don't understand. Like, unless they were this inert group, like, we secretly run Gotham and we don't do much anymore. Tuesday is snack night. Wednesday's bowling. Other than that, we have a pretty mild-mannered secret society. I don't get it. I just don't. I didn't get it contextually in the Batman universe. And so when I'm comparing the two stories of Batman addressing all of his history, especially with Catwoman, and the way they elevate Bane to an actual, like, Omega level threat, and how good Bane's written in this story, and the retelling of Bane in the King story, I don't know. I'm just not crazy about the Capullo run. It's good. It's good. Please don't hate me and think I don't like it. It is good. It's just not, it's not as good as this. And if someone's going to ask me, what are you going to read, one or the other, it is always going to be the Tom King Batman. It's, now that I've read it, I can see this being like a, every 5 years or so, I go back and read it again. This is really good stuff. I read 3 issues by Dan Jurgens of Superman and Aliens. That's another collection video we'll have to do one day. I have just about every single Aliens comic. I love the movie franchise. I love the comic franchise and all those stories. Superman versus Aliens. If you don't want this series spoiled, skip ahead like 3 minutes, because I'm going to talk about this for a second. But so much for making this a 10-minute video. I'm saying this series has a really clever retelling of Kara Zor-El, and it's special. It's Dan Jurgens, man, the guy can write Superman, and he tells a decent Superman story, but a really good Kara Zor-El story. So if you think you're just reading Superman versus Aliens and that's as simple as it gets, it isn't. It is more complicated than that, because he does such a great job handling Supergirl. I think it's worth your time if Supergirl's a character you're interested in. Next, my Crossed videos inspired me to revisit a Crossed series from a very long time ago that I read, about 3-4 years ago. Crossed Plus 100. First 6 issues by Alan Moore, rest of the series by Simon Spurrier, a returning author over and over again on the Cross series. Cross Plus 100 is 100 years in the future, and it creates a new English language. That is the most interesting thing about the series. Not only are there twists and turns that make the story go forward and it's fun to read, but if you want to see someone do something interesting in comics, it's 100 years in the future, so they say things like, instead of thinking, they say sculling. Instead of seeing, they say opsy, O-P-S-Y. Instead of, S-H-I-T, they say brown. So all of those words get replaced. This probably, you can look it up. Look up Crossed Plus 100 language, and it breaks down what they do, right? The neat thing is, in the very beginning, the first 6 issues by Alan Moore, it is very slow going. It's very slow. Because you're slowly piecing together what the language is, and they don't really break it down entirely. Like, no one ever stops and says sculling, like definition, and there's no yellow text block that kind of explains that stuff. They just talk to you that way, and eventually you just start picking it up. So in the first 6 issues of Alan Moore, I'll be honest, I was slow to get it. It was little pieces here and there that I was picking up and understanding and having to slow down a lot. But by the time I hit the Spurrier run and he's still using that language, man, I was blowing through it and doing the reading thing where you're not really stopping to think about, like, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. You're not reading that slowly. You get it quickly. So it's neat. It's a neat little experiment where they kind of retrain your brain to read just this series. That alone is worth experiencing. I don't want to make anybody mad with this next review, because I wouldn't like you when you're mad. That is both a true statement and an inside joke for Incredible Hulk. I have someone who has these books, and they were like, Immortal Hulk's incredible. You should read it. I know you're not a Marvel reader, but you can just jump in on this and you'll have a good time. And he lied to me. It's not true. This is an indictment of the comic book industry, so bear with me for a second. Comic book companies, for a very long time, have been seeding the idea of the crossover as a normalcy in comic books. You don't just read Spider-Man anymore because he crosses over with the Fantastic Four, and they have their own continuing story, who then crossed over with the X-Men, who then crossed over with the Avengers. It's constant crossovers of where everybody is, who they are, and what they're doing. And I am so uninitiated into the Marvel Universe, really my knowledge is limited to the movies. I did read Marvel when I was younger, but like we're talking like 2007. So I'm like 15, 16 years out of the game with Marvel. So when I was reading Immortal Hulk, a character that you might go, oh, I know who that is. I'm like, I literally have no idea who you are. I have no idea who you are. I don't know what you're capable of, but you have a past with the Hulk. And then, I don't know, like Sasquatch. Now I know who Sasquatch is from Alpha Flight. I had no idea he was a college roommate with Bruce Banner. I had no idea he had similar powers to Bruce Banner. I just, all over my head. So, and I like to think of myself as a smart, kind of educated guy, but like if I'm reading a story and 60% of the story is context clues to catch me up on where I need to be, there's too much history. I'm too much of a reader and a lover of comics to not want to go read those, but I'm not going to go read those. So I feel kind of left in the dark when I read a lot of these Marvel books, oh, you got to read it. And people were talking about how it's like a return to horror. I never knew Hulk was horror, but apparently there's horror in this series, and that's also not true. Like, I mean, like, if you think Gravity Falls on the Disney Plus or Disney Channel is horror, then yeah, I guess this is pretty spooky for you. But this isn't horror. There's horror elements, sure. And those can be fun if you've been reading Hulk for a long time. But like, I don't know, like I came off reading Crossed and Sandman and a lot of these like Watchmen books. Even these Watchmen books are darker than anything Disney would let Marvel do ever. And so this is like, it's like, God, please don't get mad at me, but it reads like baby dark. Like the darkest thing you'll hear is I'll kill you, but like Hulk doesn't kill anybody. He buries one dude alive, which I thought was awesome. And the way they show you in the book, I'll show it here. The way they show you in the book of Hulk choosing to bury someone alive was really cool. But then like literally 2 issues later, the guy's getting taken out of the ground. And it's like, okay, so he's not really in the ground anymore. Great. That was fun. I don't know. There's like 7 volumes, and the person that let me borrow these was willing to let me borrow more, and I'm actually good. I think I'm good. Before we get into the comic book rant, let's go over the 3 books that I beat. 3 books that I read. Good Lord, I play too many video games. I read this Vampirella book from 1975 by Ron Goulart. This is a retelling of some of the original Vampirella stories from the Warren run in book form, because they were absolutely positive that it was going to be a major motion picture, and it didn't happen. We did get a movie later in the 90s, but this version of the movie in the 70s did not come true. It's a terrible way to read Vampirella. She has no personality in these books. It's uncomfortably Epstein-y. It's uncomfortably sexualized in a couple parts that in the comics, the same stories are being retold, right? But in the comics, like, it was never like that. And they just added this like extra layer of gross to the stories. Like in the comics, Vampirella at one point is wandering through the snow and she comes across a mansion. Exhausted beyond belief, she collapses, wakes up in the mansion, and there's a doctor there, and he says, hey, while you were asleep, I figured out you were a vampire, and I came up with this inoculation. You can take this little drug every day, and you won't crave blood anymore. So, yeah, I hope you'll stick around and let me help you some more. Mwah. And he kisses her. And it's like, okay, weird. So it starts the story of like, he wants to not just keep her around, but he wants to keep her. In this book, when that version of the story is told, he doesn't kiss her, he just gropes her. and you're just like, ew. And it even says specifically like, and she allowed him to, and you're like, ew, 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 ew. There's 4 more in the series that I bought, and I will read them because I am a Vampirella fan, and they're a cool little piece of Vampirella history, but 0 out of 5 do not attempt. This is Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer by James Silk, book number 2, Lords of Destruction. There are 4 books in the Death Dealer series. This image that I'm sure you've seen before, that is the Death Dealer painting. Well, Frank Frazetta teamed up with an author named James Silk to write a series on that painting, a telling of this character, what he is and what he's all about. And they're really good, gritty, grimdark fantasy stories where like heads are getting cut down to the teeth with swords and body dismemberment. And it's just a really fun time, and also like surprisingly sexy. There's a lot of tasteless sexy in it, but not like Vampirella. Like it's just like adults being adults. It's a really cool series, and I'm excited to read books 3 and 4. The final book I read, An Arsonist's Guide to Writers' Homes in New England. It is excellent writing. Mechanically, it has really good writing, but the story, how do I say this? Roger Ebert has a thing about movies where he says, it's a stupid people plot. The plot can only advance in the way that it can because people are stupid. Well, this is a stupid people emotional plot. If people would just say like, hey, I didn't like that you said that. Oh my God, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And then everything gets fixed. Or, hey, I got to step out for a minute. So, you know, don't freak out. I don't have my cell phone. I'm just going outside for a smoke. And then people are like, oh yeah, I'll see you in a minute, buddy. But in this book, like, he steps outside and doesn't tell anybody, and people are like, where were you? What happened to you? Everyone's so emotionally unstable, and it's awful. You know, it had a really bad ending. Great writing. Detective-y, kind of super descriptive, right? Hyper description. Really good writing, terrible story. Okay, finally. This is it. 10-minute video. I'm at 26 minutes. There's no way I'm cutting this down to 10 minutes. I'm an idiot. Tell me about it. Wonder Woman Black and Gold. I read 4 of the 5 issues. One of these is double-sided. Which one is it? This one, because I ran out of bags and boards again. I'm speaking specifically of the Trinity so that I can highlight what I don't like about Wonder Woman and what I came to the conclusion of with Wonder Woman as a character. Batman's a billionaire. I'm not a billionaire. What do I have in common with Batman? Well, Batman has grief in his life. He's experienced pain unimaginable. But it isn't unimaginable because all of us can, in some way or another, relate to that type of pain. Loss, fear, inadequacy. And so making yourself strong enough and big enough so that that pain you experienced in the past can't hurt you again is actually as human as you can get. So although Batman is an unrealistic and unrelatable character, his experiences make him relatable. His versatility, his resilience, these things make him something that we can look up to and aspire to be, but also a person we can relate to. Superman, you'd think he would be the least relatable because he's an all-powerful god alien. But that's what his villains think of him. Superman's villains are always coming at him being like, you're not a human and blah, blah, blah. And then in doing that, they prove that they aren't themselves human. They're committing crimes to get at Superman while also demonstrating their own lack of humanity. Superman, with an actual snap, could destroy our atmosphere and kill all of us and go start over again a million miles away with sentient life forms. He'll meet alien Lois and have alien John Kent and everything will be awesome. But he doesn't, because he believes in us, because he loves us. He is a Christ allegory. We don't deserve him, but he's here for us because of how much he cares. That makes him an unrelatable character, but he has relatable traits that he's trying to teach us. So as he's teaching the villain, as he's explaining why he doesn't destroy the world or why he just sacrificed life and limb for tiny little baby humans like us. He's really talking to us, the reader, as to like philosophies that he has. And that's what makes Superman relatable. Wonder Woman, her whole thing is justice and lies. She's constantly talking about lies.
Guy's got a pretty substantial criminal record.
Sorry. The guy just cracks me up.
Maybe it's time we all talked about the elephant in the room. Should Captain Marvel stay a member, now that we know he's really only 10 years old?
He does possess an adult body and the wisdom of Solomon.
Wisdom does not equal maturity.
Hey, I'm sitting right here.
It's not just his age. It's the fact that he lied about it.
I didn't lie, exactly. I just left out the part about being a kid.
A lie of omission is still a lie. You kept an important secret from us. No one in the League knew the truth.
There's nothing more human than lying and artifice. You could even make an argument that me editing this video makes me a liar. That I'm not just going to upload the entire unedited rant on all of these books and I don't put any pictures in. Wonder Woman would have a problem with how I conduct myself or how we all conduct ourselves. So then it's not she's an ideal and she's trying to pull us up. It's she's this unrealistic, perfect thing. And she's constantly reminding me that I'm not as good as her. And that's not an accusatory poke. That's a jab. Like it doesn't feel good for her to be like, yeah, I don't lie because it makes you a jerk. And I'm like, well, my aunt's pasta sucks, but I wanted to tell her it was good because I don't want to hurt her feelings. Wonder Woman wouldn't get that. Wonder Woman also comes from this mythical island that doesn't have men and doesn't want me there. That's also kind of exclusionary. I'm sure for a woman reader, I'm sure for a female reader, a female identifying reader, that is something that you could probably get behind. But like as a male reader, I don't really dig it. Everything she does all goes back to Paradise Island and the gods. And they're so boring to me. They're so boring. I don't care about the gods. The god villains are unrealistic non-humans who don't get humans, and they're just punishing us. They all have the same opinion, like humans and life are beneath us. Okay, great, you're cool, I suppose. Batman's villains are people who all had really bad days. Superman villains, some of them are aliens because they want to harken back to his past, but that makes an excuse for Superman to defend humanity by saying, no, you're wrong about them. Wonder Woman does the same thing. She fights someone from her past and says, no, you're wrong about them, and then turns around for not getting that, lies are bad or whatever. I don't know. She seems so inaccessible, and even in the best stories in this Black and Gold. So this series, Black and Gold, Superman Red and Blue, which is brilliant, Batman Black and White, which is pretty good. Those series are just, they're supposed to be for the uninitiated. If you've never read a comic book before, you can pick this up and get a greater understanding of what the character is in short story snippets. That's what these are. I don't think I made that clear. They're short stories. But even in the best short stories she has, it's always like she swoops in, does something action-oriented, and leaves. The stories where she has an opportunity to demonstrate who she is and why she feels that way, it's never really presented. It's always just like, this is that she feels that way. There's no explanation as to why she feels that way. There's this really human story where someone kind of confronts her. Different character. I think it was actually Batman who confronts her and says, you're going to live hundreds of years. You've already lived hundreds of years. How can you possibly build connections that mean something to you, Wonder Woman? She leaves and goes to a grave of a friend from World War II, and she drops off flowers. And she says, see you later, Doc. I miss you, buddy. And so she's demonstrating that, she remembers all of the deaths, but, you've been alive for hundreds of years. Is every day a funeral? How does that weigh on her? That was the last panel that she's going to go see that guy. I wanted that to be the beginning of the story. I don't know. If these books were designed to sell me on Wonder Woman as a character, then they did the exact opposite. They made her seem even more inaccessible to me. There's a lot I don't like about Wonder Woman, but she's a great team character. When there's a team, you need a moral compass character to go like, hey, no, guys, that's not the right thing to do. And I really appreciate that. I love her on a team, but like every time there's been a major DC event and I read the Wonder Woman books, I always walk away going like, I don't know if I know anything more about Wonder Woman. I don't know if I appreciate her any more than I did before I started reading. So that's everything I read. All that whole pile. That's everything I read in the month of July 2023. I'm going to keep doing this because I want to see more people talk about the stories. And like I said, with my Eisenhower quote at the beginning, like I want to be that change that I want to see on YouTube. So this is a comic book shout out. I'm listing off in this video. These are all subscribers that I will be flashing onto the screen here. These are all subscribers of the channel. These are all I would consider friends at this point because they've been helping me with my channel. I've been participating in like roundtables with them and chatting with them. They're all good people. I really want to see how people respond to this. So give yourself a month. It's the beginning of August right now when I uploaded this video. Give yourself a month. Sometime in September, put up a video and, you know, hashtag this guy. Put up a video and say, this is everything I read in this month. I don't care if it's a 5-book pile. I don't care if it's Harlequin romance novels. I just want to know what you guys are reading. And if anybody else who isn't getting shouted out right now wants to participate in this, I would love to know what you're reading. That would be awesome. I largely rely on YouTube creators that I enjoy to recommend books for me to go chase down. So if anyone else can do that for me, I would consider it a personal favor. That's it. Love you. Bye.